Have you ever wanted to overcome writer's block and you had no idea how to do it? Well, the good news, the very good news, is that today we have Maximilian Messler. And he's going to tell you all about how you can overcome writer's block with RTT hypnotherapy. And what's so amazing about Maximilian is that not only he's a #1 Amazon bestselling author, he is an incredible hypnotherapist that has worked with many clients, helping them to overcome their limitations, their limiting beliefs, their traumas, their emotional issues in order to attract a lot more of what they desired. And now he can help you too. So in this interview, he's going to share everything. He's going to spill the beans about what it takes to overcome writer's block. Because who likes to be blocked when they're writing? I'm sure nobody. So welcome, Maximilian, and tell us, how can we overcome writer's block?
Thank you so much, Lily. So how can we overcome writer's block? I mean, first of all, it's so important to understand what lies beneath the writer's block, because a block is always something that wants to tell us something. So there's an underlying issue that you need to understand in order to move beyond it. And what I do with RTT hypnotherapy is we go right to the root cause of what's blocking you. So in this case, if you have a writer's block, why you cannot write the sentence, why you cannot write the chapter, why you cannot write the book. So what I do is, when I work with my clients under hypnosis, which is a really nice experience actually, because you are in a nice, light, relaxed state, we go back to situations that caused this block within you. And this can go back to, for example, childhood, but it mustn't be childhood, but oftentimes it is. And then oftentimes people had experiences where they've been judged. So for example, they were in class and they had to read out something, maybe a poem or something they had to write, and people laughed, or a teacher was diminishing them and they felt belittled. And as humans, we need to protect ourselves, because the #1 rule of the mind is it needs to make sure that we are safe in order to survive on this planet. So it doesn't even matter if it's a physical harm or an emotional harm, because when we feel an emotional harm, we need to protect ourselves. So this oftentimes lies beneath a writer's block, a reason that you've once experienced, and you felt a fear of being judged. So many people have this fear of being judged, and it's really something a lot of people have in common. But the good news is we can overcome it, and we can become best-selling authors. We can overcome the blocks by really addressing it. So once we find out what this root cause is, we need to make sense of it. We need to make the meaning and the interpretation, because it's not so much the event usually that affects us, but it's the interpretation of these events that will create the harm within us, because we start to tell ourselves a story, and this story is making us feeling little, making us feeling small. And so we start actually to diminish our light. We won't show our true colors anymore, and we really put a shade around us, and people start to focus less on what they love to do, because in order they don't want to experience a pain again in their life. So for example, this could be a reason why people have a writer's block. And once you find out the root cause and you have the interpretation, what we do with RTT hypnotherapy, we interrupt those beliefs massively, because you need to understand you're not that little child anymore. You're not in a classroom anymore. There's not going to be a teacher anymore telling you something, or your parents telling you off, because as a grown up, you have so much more possibilities to react differently. and to choose your thoughts. But when we're little, when we're a child, we have also a brain that's developed as a child. So often the issue is that we still have that little child within us that's been hurt and that made sense of a situation with a childlike mind. But when we grow up, we still have that little child within us. If we don't go back to the root cause, and in hypnotherapy, our brain really is connected in a way that we can access information much more easily than in a waking state. So this process is also really fast and effective. And once we do this and we interrupted the beliefs, we understand we're no longer that person from back then anymore. We can install new positive and empowering beliefs within the subconscious mind. And this will really boost you so much. So you'll easily write, you get all the thoughts, all the ideas that empower you, so that words flow easily and naturally out of you, and you'll just have no resistance anymore to shining your light, to share your story, to tell your story, because you know it's not only empowering you, but it's empowering others as well. And that's so beautiful. And I just really love to see when I see my clients transform really in front of my eyes, from being blocked to really being empowered, shining their light, being free to live their life really as they always should have been. But oftentimes we don't really know that's possible. So for me, it's so important to spread the word really, so people can shine their light, can share their story, and to empower others. And this is possible really in a short amount of time with RTT hypnotherapy and the work that I do. And clients get really amazing transformations out of this. Usually it's a 1-month program up to 3 months. So if you wanted to start, usually we can go with 1 session, 1 month of transformation. But if you want to go a bit deeper and just really bring yourself to the complete new level, 3 months will give you an amazing boost in your personality, in your growth. So you can really achieve what you want to achieve, to have the success, to publish the book, to share your story, to write easily and effortlessly, really. And yeah, it's amazing, really.
Wow. And I do imagine like how people must be going like from like sitting in front of a piece of paper and not knowing what to write and kind of like nothing flowing. And then you having your RTT session and then them like writing during the session because they have so many thoughts. And I think that would be quite funny to have like a session where you're actually cannot actually do the session because they're writing so much.
Exactly. They call you, I'm writing. I need to postpone the second session. Because, the thing is, we tap into the intelligence of our subconscious mind when we work with RTT, with hypnotherapy. And our subconscious mind has all the knowledge already within us. And there are so many things, that will come out of you once you tap into this inner intelligence. Oftentimes it's blocked also by the mind, by the limitations, by the limiting beliefs and blocks. But once we access it, really, it's a flow. Sometimes you cannot stop even. And then you just keep on writing and writing and writing. And I can just share for myself, when I was writing my chapter for the Global Conscious Entrepreneurs book, it just came out of me. It was just really like an intuitive writing, because of course you want to make a structure or you want to do some thinking, but after you did that, really you trust the process. And that's the beautiful thing with the working with the RTT and the writing block. You overcome the writing block and you write intuitively. It'll really just flow from within you into the pen or into your hands, and you'll just type it. And it's a complete different experience. It's just a different sort of writing you experience when you do this.
Wow. So it's almost like you write in flow.
You write in flow. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So I can sort of imagine, like my subscribers kind of like being hypnotized into writing a lot. And then I think I would love them to be hypnotized into writing really good stuff about me. Can you do that?
Absolutely. I mean, that's, of course, I mean, yeah, I mean, you want to do it now? Or
I'm of course joking, but I'm thinking that I've never had that, writer's block, but what I did find is that, for example, when you're writing in a certain position, as in like, against the wall, I find that you have a bigger writer's block. And when you're writing maybe in your success direction, in your facing, I don't know, like in a different place. Like, for example, I find it easier to write in a hotel, or, like in the lobby of a hotel. I don't know why, or in a restaurant, even more than, let's say, at home. So as a hypnotherapist, do you have like any thoughts on that, why that happens? Or if not, then maybe what kind of techniques can we do on our own so we can overcome writer's block? Is there anything we can do, or the only thing is to just come to a hypnotherapy session with you?
Of course, there are always things you can do, and I love what you shared also with the sitting position, because what it will do is it creates a different brainwave state. So when we enter a different brainwave state, we access more of our intuitive intelligence, and that's also what we do when we do hypnosis. And it's also something we can do when we, for example, start to meditate. It doesn't even need to be for a really long time, but really becoming, for example, aware of your breath. So you breathe in consciously and you breathe out for a minute or so. And then if you want, you can also close your eyes and just really try to see your thoughts like coming in and out like clouds. You really enter a more relaxed state. And when you do that, you'll access more of this unconscious power that's within you. And this will help you to be less in your critical thinking and in your critical mind. And changing places, changing direction can also help you with that. So that's what you've already mentioned. Definitely, this can be really beneficial, or taking a walk in nature, for example, because once you're blocked, you cannot go harder, because the more you try to overcome the block by being I'm pushing through, like this will only create more resistance. So really, if you feel you have this block right now, just rather put on your favorite song, shake, dance. Like if you love to do that, just really move your body, because by shaking your body, you're changing your state again. And by changing your state into a more positive feeling, you'll also open up more towards like your creative flow. So really try to make a break and then come back with a more positive energy, and just tell yourself, I'm just writing one word, and then just write one word. And from one word, it'll be one sentence, and then it'll be two sentences. And if you realize there's a block again, just make your next break. Don't be hard on yourself, just really go gentle, but be consistent.
That's a very good tip. And what about, let's say, if people feel like, oh, I cannot really write because I don't trust my own writing. Like, I think my writing isn't going to be any good. What would you kind of like do with those people?
I mean, that's a very common belief that lies beneath it, like I'm not good enough. So what I
Mm-hmm.
have to share is not good enough. And this is so common for so many people, and we really need to address it. And what you can do immediately is start to tell yourself, I am enough. What I write is good enough. What I write, people will like to read. So really change your limiting beliefs and tell yourself something that's more positive, that's empowering. And usually that's really embedded deeply within us. So if you have those beliefs, it does make sense to really work on it, but you can work on it on yourself if you want to start by just telling yourself you are worthy, you're lovable, what your story matters, because your story does matter, because the story of every human does matter. So I think it's really important to understand that, yeah, every person is worthy.
And have you personally encountered writer's block yourself as well?
I haven't, like, I wouldn't say block, but I myself had the tendency to wait for a long time until I started. And this could be a form of writer's block. So if you hesitate to start, this could be a sign of writer's block. It doesn't need to be, but it goes towards that direction. So because probably there's a fear within you. So why wouldn't you start right away? Because you postpone it. So I had this little tendency, but I know how to dialogue with my own mind really well since I've studied that. And so I easily could overcome that block, and I just went into the flow state. I also meditated since we got this beautiful meditation also towards writing. And this helped me a lot then just to get it flowing.
And if someone wanted to kind of like work with you to, get like a hypnotherapy session, how would that work? Would they like be coming on Zoom and they would like close their eyes and all of a sudden magically they would like start writing everywhere, like on the wall, on the table and everything, because they'll be so inspired? Or how does it work?
I mean, if they want to, I mean, I would not, I would not install this into a person. But if that's your wish, I mean, usually how it would look like is first we would have a like a short discovery call, just really to see where the person's at, and then the hypnotic state will be induced quite easily. You go down 10 steps. You'll close your eyes. I'll guide the person into a really relaxed state. You can sit in a comfortable chair. We meet over Zoom. And then we go back to the root cause. We'll make the interpretation. We interrupt, and then we install the beliefs. So the person comes out of this session already empowered and free and just ready to write, because they'll already have let go what they blocked them. And so, I mean, of course, it's different for each person. Sometimes, like, it can take a few days. It can be just immediate after the session that the person's already like just writing. But usually, it's really fast. Yeah, it can change really like in an instant.
Wow, that's incredible. And I think that would be really good news for a lot of people that have had writer's block for many years. And I do think it's this skill of overcoming writer's block is very useful, because it's not just for writing books. It's for, writing that email that you dread writing to your boss, or, there's a lot of forms of using, that writing that you kind of dread doing. Maybe you're supposed to be writing your CV and you haven't done it because you dread writing. So I think that could be useful for a lot of things. It's not just for writing books, but of course, writing books is a big one. So if people were to reach out to you, where should they reach out?
Yeah, so they can find me on my website, maximilianmessler.com, and also on social media, Maximilian Messler, and Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You can find me, type in my name in Google, and I'll show up. And then we can also arrange a discovery call. And yeah, it's just so powerful. And just to add on, also speaking, writing is one thing, but also, of course, expressing yourself. It's about really expressing yourself. And you can speak, because if you write, usually you also at some point have to like present your book. And then you can also, of course, speak freely, speak with confidence. We can all address that while working with RTT and hypnotherapy. And yeah, I just love to help people overcome their blocks and then shine their light. For me, it's like the most beautiful thing.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much, Lily. It was great to talk to you. Thanks for having me and giving me the opportunity.